Yo, Bluetick, Seriousbanter, myself, Dego. As you can see, I'm on the sofa this week alone. You get me? Obviously, through to unforeseen circumstances, my co-host Bugsy couldn't be here with me today. Now, I really don't know how to say this, but yeah, it's like his health had been compromised in the previous week just gone, and ironically, it affected his body, but most of all, it affected his speech. So this is the current situation, and this is what we're dealing with. But you know, at the same time, we know God's got this. You get me? We are big believers in God, and we know that God's got this. So we're gonna leave it in God's hands. You get me? And yeah. So other than that, obviously, our thoughts and our prayers go out to the boy Bugs right now, and hopefully we'll be seen in return very, very soon on the sofa. But yeah, until then, the show must go on. So you get me? We are here. But yes, this one here is it's a bit of a real one, to say the least. You get me? Because obviously, yeah, I don't really want to go too into Bugs' thing because we don't even really know what's going on now. Do you get me? A lot of tests have been taking place right now and so forth, but we know he's good. But with saying that, I believe that the topic of conversation for this week should be none other than health. And that's health through every genre of health. So that's mental health, bodily health, you get me? And yeah, and I think we've seen what's gone on so close to home, alongside of the likes of myself and other people around me going to funerals constantly lately. Like it's like every week, every 2 weeks, we are attending either a night or a funeral. And obviously we understand that it's the cycle of life. But when it's close to home, it you get me, it carries a different type of emotion. So with saying that, yeah, health is the big topic right now. And what are we doing to ensure that our health is intact? You get me? Because me, I'm guilty of it myself. My circle, we're guilty of it. Like, we like to party, we like to live life. You get me? And what we call living life is, in one hand, taking life. You get me? So the likes of us that go out, we binge drink. Once we're binge drinking, a lot of us binge eat, and then you binge sleep. You get me? The hours you're supposed to be in bed, you're not in bed. And like, when you check the effects that has on your health, not so much when you're young, but when you're growing and going through the motions, you realize that there's certain things you're doing in your young years that are affecting your future. Do you get me? And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, as I say, we like to party, we like to go out, we like to go on holidays. And when we're doing these things, like, are we making sure that we're looking about what we're supposed to be looking about now? Even something as small as this whole new balloon culture. Okay? Like, you see, when I was growing up, balloons were far and few between. There was a certain set of people that took balloons. It was like, obviously, the house goers, and that was their type of, you get me? It matched their scene. Now, years forwarding on, you're seeing them everywhere. Everywhere you go, you just hear a corner that's just going, shh, shh. And they're just doing these balloons, you get me? Now, what I will say is, obviously, I know them things are having an effect on people's bodies also. I was at an all-white dance with my brethren, Topes, And we're there, and everyone's doing balloons, you get me? This was a few months back. And the guy's there with his girlfriend, and he's just doing balloons. Like, the canister they're coming with now is like, it's like a 2-litre bottle of juice, you get me? See, when I was seeing them things being done years ago, it was these little silver canisters and that. But now they come with some big things. So anyway, my man was doing his balloon, and he's ended up just falling on his face right in front of me. Just bam! Just licked the floor, you get me? And I've looked, and I'm saying to him, are you okay, bruv? And he's convinced. He's got up. Everyone's looking at him, everyone's around him. He's got up and he's convinced that this was a joke. Like, I'd done this as a joke with my gal, you get me? And she was videoing it. But his girl, when I looked at his girl, she even looks like shook, you get me? Like, she looked like, raw, what's happened? So I'm saying to my man, bruv, are you sure? Like, this doesn't look like a video that you're doing. He's like, oh yeah, but I mean, it looked all spaced out and stuff. So I will say this. People are doing things that they don't know what their body can manage. These are foreign bodies. And all respects to the Chinese culture and the Chinese side of the world, but I be seeing them mimic magnums. I be seeing them making a fake magnum. You get me? I be hearing people talking about they're having the shits in the hood and their belly's hurting them because they're drinking fake magnums, and they're telling me how they identify that these magnums are fake from the writing on the bottom of the bottle and so forth here. So I'm saying this. Obviously, data is shared across the world, and when they know things are being done in abundance in a certain place, they will always mimic, fabricate, whatever, and either make something that looks exactly like it and sell it on the market. And I do believe that this is another threat that you have to, you get me, be cautious about, because there's going to be people taking fake gas. Do you get me? How do you identify fake gas? You understand? So even with having young children and that, I have to kind of be on the ball, because my daughter's an adult now, and you get me, she is going to want to do what she wants to do. But you see, as long as they're doing certain things in your absence that they are aware about, or not doing it or seeing it and they can step away from it, I believe that's important. You get me? So even though I'm not a balloon taker, I'm still going to look into what effects this has and the stuff to tell my children and their peers what to look out for. So yes, that's enough of blabbing on about the whole balloon thing. But I will say it's 2022, yeah, has showed me a lot of shocking stuff. And balloons being everyone's choice of drug, like, that is one of the things that shocked me. And I'm talking people from all walks of life. I'm seeing little people that look like good people, good little girls, good young boys. They're just out there doing their thing, you get me? So yes, we're moving into a different culture still, but yeah, health. What are we doing as individuals to make sure that our health is intact? Cool. Me, myself, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I live in it. So with living comes a lot of unhealthy stuff. And obviously, the whole going gym thing, yeah, we work out and that, but is it consistent enough to tally up with the life that we're living? Do you get me? And at the end of this episode, I would like to be in a position where I can say to everybody, let's have a time. Why wait until a New Year's resolution in order to change things and put things down? So I would say, like, by the end of this, I would like to say, let's have a time where everybody can look into this and at least take away something or add something to their life that has a health benefit. Do you get me? So whether it means giving up something that you know is not good for you, or going to the gym, or not even, it's not all about gym, but it's about doing things. The gym is one of those I'm going to use as an example. But doing something that's going to change your health status now, that can improve it for the future. Do you get me? And And I want people to kind of plug in on this, because it shouldn't have to take for people around us to get sick or die, or we see stuff on telly. A lot of stuff that are pushed on telly when it comes to health is then pushed with a price tag after. So they'll ask you to either donate or something, or you get me? And we see this all the time, and people get involved in it all the time. But it takes away the whole, it's a campaign, but it takes away the whole just health. It's all about health. It cannot be about money. Do you get me? So what I will say is, let's all take something away from this and say, boom. And you see, when you see me a lot, we all see each other. We're all from the same place. You get me? And shouts to you lot that do see me and help me up. Big up to you. Trust me, like, it is definitely appreciated and taken on in a positive way. But what I would like to do is, when you now see me, I would like you to say to me what you've done. So it can only be, it don't have to be no big conversation. It could be a couple words like, I've signed up to the gym, or I started going for walks, or I've given up me, or do you get what I'm trying to say? And that will be an interactive campaign that we can have between each other, because we're all doing it for the same reasons. Do you get me? It's all going to benefit us in the same way. So yeah, like myself, I've signed back up to the gym 2 days in now, and I haven't gone once. But I plan to go after this show, you get me? That's the reality. But yeah, we just need to take the thing serious. And just like funerals, we say to ourselves, and we say to our peers, or we say to people we grew up with that we haven't seen in a long time, when we see them at funerals and stuff, we do say to them, well, I say to them, and people say to me, it's terrible that we have to see people in this environment. Okay, so it's always a negative environment where we're meeting people. It's positive. The meetings are positive. These people you haven't seen in years, and it's good to see people. But it's in a negative. Obviously, we're celebrating whatever death, but it's death. You get me? So just like that, why should we wait for that day to link up and meet each other and see each other, and let our children know their children and your children? And do you get me? And even a lot of dads can come together and say, or even mums, you can subscribe to something. Why don't you subscribe to the ends? You can subscribe to the ends, have a certain amount of money that go into this. Someone can hold an event maybe 3 times a year. And within that 3 times a year, it might cost each one of us £15-20 a month. Okay? Now, what that does is save a mum and a dad having to bury their child of £15,000-20,000. Do you get me? Like, it takes the whole edge out of this thing. Because a lot of people, when these things do go wrong, they only know how close the families are at the funerals and at the 9 nights. Do you get me? So just like that, I would say we need to invest in our own. So not just our own community, our own health. So I say everyone takes away one thing, you get me? And yeah. So as I said, I'm going to go gym. I would like to take away, see, drinking, raise my problem, you know. I would like to take away Ray. Okay, you see, if I didn't drink the Ray, I don't have no real urge. I won't really go to a bar and get like a vodka or a Smirnoff. So I just won't drink nothing. Do you get me? But you see, if I go to this place and I say to them, excuse me, sir, do you have Ray? And they say yes. It's mad. Party mad. Check. It's all unhealthy. That night is unhealthy. Do you get me? And I do believe that that's one thing that I think would be a good thing for me to kick. So let's not wait for New Year's resolutions. Let's not wait for those stuff. Let's not wait for our friends to get sick. Let's be proactive. Do you get me? So yeah, that is my stance on this. And any comments and any suggestions, I would also like you to let us know. Leave it in the comment box or whatever. But you know, as I was saying that, I was even thinking, you know, like an end sports day. Like, there's not really things like that. Do you get me? Like, it shouldn't have to always be about partying. So it would be nice to have like a community sports day. Do you get me? Just like how schools have it and all of this stuff. Families meet up and it's all physical stuff. Do you get it? So that is also an idea. But yes, the importance of health is very important. And I don't know where else to go. I don't know how to stress it. And I do feel like a bit of a hypocrite. Because I don't eat meat. And fair enough, I've got little things in place that I think, you get me, help my health benefits. But I also do other things that I know, fully aware, that don't help my health benefits. So I feel like a hypocrite sitting here and telling everyone, look after your health, do this, do this, do this. And you get me, not 100% with it. And the man that is 100% with it and consistent with it, I respect him. He deserves all the ratings. But yeah. The next thing I'd like to touch on today is also about health, but it's it's another twisted, dark, you get me, situation that I hope positivity can come out of. Okay? And that situation, it involves a young boy, right? A young man, should I say, that when I was sent this video via social media and on WhatsApp, when I looked into it, I recognized the young boy's face straight away. This young boy was a young boy that used to go to my school. Young man. The young man's name's Raphael Gill, okay? Now, I'm not sure if everybody's aware of the situation that surrounds his name, but I'm going to make you aware, and I will also drop a video in with this to let you understand a little bit more where this is gone. But basically, he's a 29-year-old man, okay? He died in November 2019, right? In Lewisham Hospital. Now, Raphael Gill was stopped by the police on a speeding, and I believe it might have been a suspected drug offence or whatever. So he was stopped by the police, okay? On being stopped by the police, the videos show from the police body cam that this guy, I could tell, and I'm not a trained worker, that this guy suffers from anxiety in some form, because his big question was, am I going to go into a police cell? And he said that with fear on his face. And there, obviously, at that time, I realized this brother has either suffered with some sort of trauma, PTSD or something, where he don't want to go into the cell. The officer said to him, no, and he's saying, swear down and all of this stuff. Cool. On the roadside, they have him on the roadside for a while. Now, this guy, or young man, he starts having seizures. So he has one seizure in the back of their car. Now, I'm not sure if they're aware that this person suffers with seizures at the time. I'm not sure if he's told them or whatever. But yeah, he's had a seizure in the back of the car.
Not long after the initial stop for speeding, Raphael tests positive for cocaine. Cannabis is found in the car too. It's clear he's becoming anxious about going into custody.
So would I have to go on the cell?
Get a ticket. Probably not.
Please, sir.
A police check confirms he's known to suffer from seizures and PTSD.
We know you've had an epileptic fit in the cell before.
Yeah, please, sir.
We'll try not to.
Right?
We're going to try not to.
A few minutes.
Now, after him having his first seizure, they didn't take it as serious as I think they should have, or if it was an old woman of maybe another race or an old man of maybe, I believe it would have been different, okay? But I'm going to go into the story more. So he's had his first seizure, he's then had his second seizure, okay? The video footage is showing them having his seizure. Now, at this time, these officers are still not taking it serious, because even when I'm listening to the footage, I can hear one of the officers speaking like she's from Catford, right? And she's like 23 and she's on the road. That's how she sounded in the background. Yeah?
A few minutes later, he has his first seizure in the car.
Raphael, focus. Seizure.
While one officer takes care of Raphael, another phones for the ambulance. Over the next 15 minutes, he suffers 2 more seizures.
To come. He's then gone into the ambulance, and I believe at the time that he's gone into the ambulance, he was on his 4th seizure. Okay? So the ambulance, okay, we go back to when the ambulance arrived. The ambulance arrives, and the ambulance driver is questioning whether Raphael Gill's seizures are fraudulent or if they are actual, honest, realistic seizures. Okay, so these are all the questionings they're asking and debate they're having between themselves on the roadside before getting Raphael any form of medical assistance or getting into the hospital.
Police call to ask where the ambulance is multiple times and are told it has been sent to the wrong location.
Raphael, it's okay.
The first paramedic arrives.
He's epileptic. He's had like 5 epileptic fits now.
He's actually incorrectly briefed. Raphael has had 3 fits by now. But he doesn't assess him as an emergency. In fact, the paramedic seems to question whether the seizures are real, using an inverted commas gesture as he explains to a colleague he was arrested and then had several fits.
Arrested and then had several fits.
At the inquest, the paramedic denied this, saying he was tucking in his shirt.
To the hospital. Cool. Raphael then goes into the ambulance, has his 4th seizure. He then goes into the hospital, okay? Now, at the time, from the footage I saw, it showed that even the police were questioning the length of time it was taking for the medical teams to come and attend to Raphael. He was on the bed, and I believe at that time he had his 5th seizure because they were counting them as he was going through the seizures. So you can hear on the police footage camera they were saying each when he was having each one. Now, at the time, I believe the policewoman, she even clarified that she didn't believe that any of these seizures were fake, and she was giving her reason for it, basically saying that his whole body shut down, his hands and everything.
Raphael is taken to Lewisham Hospital. It has been more than an hour since his first seizure. Worth listening to the police conversation. The female officer trying to quell any doubts as to whether Raphael had been faking it all.
I don't think he's faking it.
No. And his hands, the way they were proper.
Controlled it.
Yeah.
He looks generally ill.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say it's probably anxiety and stress induced as well. Poor thing.
There's still niggling doubt over whether this all might have been faked.
So cool, he's in the hospital and they are neglecting this man. I'm not going to put it in no other way than saying they have neglected this man. So this man's on his 5th seizure. He's come into the hospital. He hasn't come into the hospital on blue lights. They have driven in the traffic and stopped the traffic lights and let people go like everybody else. Unbelievable madness, okay? No, being aware of how many seizures he has had because they were numbering them. Remember I said that.
He's put into the ambulance,
Is he going in this way?
where he has his 4th seizure.
Yeah.
He was taken to hospital, not under blue lights and sirens. And the most senior clinician drove, so was not on hand to provide emergency treatment, which the technician was unqualified to provide.
Okay, so they drive him to hospital on a non-blue light. He gets to hospital. After he's had his 6th seizure in the hospital, or even before his 6th seizure, after his 5th seizure, he's looked at the officer and he says to this officer, I feel like I'm going to die. Okay? The officer looks at him like he has any form of medical fucking training and says, nah, mate, you're all right. They're going to look after you.
Worst.
Okay.
Relax.
No.
Raphael, mate. Chill out. Chill out.
Relax.
Day.
You're not going to die, mate.
You're not going to
You're
die.
not going to
We're in
die.
hospital. They'll look after you. All right?
The officers are clearly thrown by the fact no medical staff are around.
This is what we've got.
Raphael dies after his 6th seizure a short while later.
Okay. Minutes later, Raphael Gill has his 6th seizure and dies in Lewisham Hospital. Okay. And yes, this happened in 2019, but why I have brought it up now is because it's been in the last recent week that they have come to the end of his inquest into the investigation into basically what's happened.
The inquest found the medical cause of death to be multiple seizures and cocaine taken alongside prescribed medication. But in a prevention of future deaths report, the coroner said there were several matters of concern. The fact Raphael had been arrested unduly influenced the assessment of urgency by the London Ambulance Service.
And with the findings that they have found, okay, obviously they are going to do tests on Raphael and whatever. Now, at the time when they done the test, they said that he tested positive for cocaine and prescription medicine. Also, he had cannabis in the car. That is what they said. Okay. Now, that would have been their initial reason for Raphael dying, okay, or him having his seizures, which they could be correct about, okay. But it then said in the ruling underneath or on another page that they believe the big contributing factor to Raphael Gill dying is the lack of care and the delay of them either getting him to the hospital and getting him medical attention. So this was a part of their ruling, okay? Now me, as I say, we never heard about this. This wasn't big on the news, okay? And like, it's something that's only come about now, and by the looks of the inquest, no one hasn't got in trouble for this, okay? And this is where the problem is, because people are going through stuff and people are dying, and there's not nice end results, but people are getting away with stuff. Inquests are done, but after inquests are done, you're only getting the outcome or the conclusion of their inquest. That is it. And in my opinion, they need to, just like they like to change laws when it comes to them, they need to change the laws when it comes to a lot of things. Do you understand? Now, you see whether a professional believes that the person in need is a fraudulent, a fake, or whatever. That's not it. That's an emotion between you and yourself. And that has to be taken out of your profession. Do you understand? Because a man has allowed his emotion and his questioning to be questioning back and forth to what he believes, to allow him to delay a person from getting the help that they need. Do you get me? And yeah, so something needs to change about this, because they're out here fining people 250 grand and trying to send them to prison for kicking cats. Okay? So something really needs to give. Because right now, in the world, it's like animals have more rights than humans. Do you understand? And if that happened to a dog, yeah, it would be all over the news. Yeah, the dog died. Yeah, they never got the dog no help. Yeah? You see, if the dog licked cocaine off your table in your ass, yeah, and they never got the dog to the hospital, and the dog had seizures and the dog dead, you'd be going in jail straight away. That's the difference between here, where we live, human life, black human life, and animals. Yeah? And I've seen it. So leave your comments down below and let me know how you feel about this situation. Because right now we're living in 2022, and as I just said, animals have more rights than human beings, than black human beings. Okay? And it's funny that a lot of these deaths that are happening with stop and searches and all of these stuff are happening to black people. I couldn't tell you the last time I heard on the news, and this is not me being biased, but I couldn't tell you the last time I heard on the news of police brutality or delay of NHS service that's been killing off white people. Just like this. A man that's just been stopped and searched on the road or pulled over for speeding or whatever. Do you understand? So on that note there, once again, men, people, women, us, kids, grannies, we got to look after our health. Okay? Because I could turn this on its side and say that this person was stopped for speeding. Okay? Now, I know the police never gave him seizures. But you see his anxiety, yeah? You see how worked up this boy got himself thinking he was going to go into a cell. And apparently he had a fit previously they had on the record, okay? So that to this guy is torture. He does not want to go back to this place. So you see how much he worked himself up. Stress, anxiety. He made his body have seizures. Do you understand? So, you see, even with the drug taking thing or whatever, okay, cool. Like, I can't have a say on that, okay? But what I will say is, if he was driving and speeding at that time, okay, and his body went into seizure at that time, okay, clearly this person's body goes into seizures, okay? So, on the flip side of things, you're speeding around town, okay, and you suffer from seizures, and you've just taken cocaine. And you just taking medication. It could have gone another way. Someone else could have died off the back of that. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So, on the flip side of things, you can look at it both ways and just know to yourself, you see your health is important. See, stress, a lot of us are stressing about a lot of things that we cannot change. A lot of the things that a lot of us are stressing about, we have no control over. Because if we did, we wouldn't be stressing about it. It's that real. And I always say this. What stress does to the body, you can't physically see. On some people, it's a physical. Some people look stressed out. Some people have bags and they carry... Do you understand? That's how they carry their stress. Some people bottle it all up. They wouldn't even tell their nearest and dearest anything. They just get on with stuff, or they believe they're just getting on with stuff. But as I always say, we are not bottomless cups, okay? You see our glass, our cups, when we fill them, they full up. Do you get it? You see, if we were bottomless, we could get through a lot more. And then the body has to go through a thing where it's like a laptop. It's got to start shutting down things. It's got to start erasing bits of memory. You know, bits of memory that you know, there's people that go through stuff, yeah? Like... And you see your mind, I always say, your mind, with no mind, your body is nothing. You can have a fit body, yeah? But you see, if your mind's no good, your body is nothing. Do you get it? So you see the stress. Some people are walking around with internals, yeah? They got things going on that no one knows. Do you understand? And clearly... our society, what's going on now with all what I've been hearing, like people have been dying from heart attacks around, man. People have been dying with all of these things. Like people have broken hearts. People are suffering from stuffs. So as I say, with the body and the memory, you might have someone who goes through something, yeah, and they might have a stroke or they might have some sort of bodily change, yeah, where they forget about stuff. You see, like their bad history, like their bad memories, it's like it's just been erased. And there's some people that can only remember from the day that these things have happened. So you know, when health hits you in, or some things happen health-wise, some people only can remember from that day forward. Now you ask yourself a question. Is that the body saving the mind? Is that the body shutting down, and it's like taking out a memory card and putting in a new memory card? Because there's certain traumas that people are living with every day that are stressing them out every day. They're trying to live normal lives. They're trying to do stuff. And it's like, yeah, I see it. And, yeah. It's mad. But I will say this, I just want everyone to kind of get on this campaign. What can we do? If you're in a room and you're watching this with someone, look at your person close to you and say to them, like, what can we do? Can we go to start going gym together? Can we go? They got free gyms in parks. I know they are absolutely shit. And COVID, they just done scare everyone with COVID. Now they want people to touch gym things. You get me? I get that. But there's a lot of things we can do. Walking is better than running. People can go for hour walks, and do you get what I'm trying to say? And you can do these things as a family. You understand? So, yeah, I just think we need to really tap into what's going on. On that note, yeah, just boom. Big up yourself as well. Be the man them, everyone that's staying strong for B. Vicky, big up yourself. Like, yeah, you are a blessing. So, but yeah, on that note, I'm out, and I'll be back at you next week with something. The show must go. Hashtag the show must go on. So, yeah, big up yourself. I'm out.
Some material.
Check.